2-Minute 365 Sports, Paul Catalina, the top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. We're continuing with our transfer fits. The portal is wide open. I consider myself an expert on where people should go. Do they listen to me? Rarely ever, but they should. And they should watch these videos. So if you're in the portal and you're wondering where you should go and you happen to be one of these 5 guys, you're welcome, buddy. Got your back. Number 5, defensive end Will Heldt from Purdue. Purdue, with Ryan Walters getting fired, they had some good recruiting classes and some really highly thought of people, but had a really, really bad year. If I'm Will Heldt, I'm looking not too far away in the Big Ten in Nebraska. They've lost some guys. With Tony White leaving, I would jump into that Nebraska pool really quickly because he could star in Matt Rule's system, and we'll see, how many offers this guy gets, but so far the number 1 defensive end available, he will have his choice with 3 years of eligibility remaining. Number 4, cornerback Matthew McDoom, which is a badass name. Honestly, with Dr. Doom coming back to the MCU, they need to make an NIL deal with him to do a commercial with Robert Downey Jr. The biggest need for Miami, after they find whoever their quarterback is going to be, is that secondary. They got burnt all year long. Their defense was not good. Expect wholesale changes on that side of the ball for Mario Cristobal. And if I'm them, I'm giving Matthew McDoom a call because this is a guy who defends a lot of passes. He gets his hands on the ball. He's a really good player. That's him right there, by the way, number 16, in case you were wondering, for the Chanticleers. But if I were Miami, he would be one of my first calls. Number 3, quarterback Devin Brown, top 45 recruit in 2022. Wound up at Ohio State, was very loyal, played there, started the Cotton Bowl for them last year. Of course, that was a losing effort in a massive wave of opt-outs. I actually, from what I've seen from this guy, I think he's got still has some Big Ten potential. I also maybe am a little biased because he's a quarterback who wears number 33. I'm not going to leave that part out, but with Jeff Grimes on his way to Wisconsin to run the wide zone, I think Devin Brown is the perfect wide zone quarterback. I think he can do very well for Luke Fickell and for Jeff Grimes in that offense for the Badgers. He stays in the Big Ten. He's familiar with it. He's a good leader. He's a gamer. He's a team player, because a lot of guys would have transferred 2 years ago when they saw the writing on the wall, or when they brought in Will Howard, would have just left right then. He didn't. He stuck it out. He battled. He was the backup this year. He's played with some elite talent, practiced some elite talent. I think you bring that experience and moxie to Wisconsin if you're Luke Fickell, even if it's just for a short time. Plus, he's a quarterback who was 33. Let's make this cool. Let's make this cool. Number 2, quarterback Braylon Braxton from Marshall. I think he follows his coach Charles Huff to Southern Miss. Marshall really messed up by not getting this guy locked in. Of course, Southern Miss really motivated to get Charles Huff there. Braylon Braxton had a really good year. I think he follows his coach to Southern Miss, where it's a little bit warmer, and he's familiar with the system, but I think this is a great fit. If he doesn't, he will have a lot of options because he did have a really good year. And number 1, wide receiver Eric Singleton from Georgia Tech. He's already visiting Georgia. He's going to have options to visit other places, but I'm just going to tell you, they need a playmaking wide receiver like this for the Dogs really, really bad. Really, really bad. And they didn't have that this year. And you can see how the offense, really took a step back because of it. They didn't have those playmakers. They lost him. He is one of those playmakers. I say he moves across to the rival and goes to UGA because I think that's a huge fit for him. But we'll see what UGA's got in store, or if somebody else swoops in and gets him. He's going to be able to make a lot of money because he's one of the best wide receivers on the market, and Georgia's already trying to steal him from their rival. That's going to do it for this edition of the Top 5. Smokey, let's say Auf Wiedersehen.